In this class today, we're going to be working a lot with the energetic body. The energetic body shows up as breath. In yoga, we have what are called vayus. Vayus are known as wind. So the way that breath moves in your body, the way that energy moves in your body. So there's 5 different ways that it can move. It can move downward, it can move up, it can move inward, it can radiate outward, and it can also kind of circulate inward. So there's a lot of different parts that happen energetically when we practice yoga. So what we're doing in this class today is we're going to balance out all of those elements together, and through movement and through intentional breathing, we're creating more space in the body, more space for freedom, more space for movement and lightness and ease. So there's a lot that happens underneath the surface of these physical postures, especially when you breathe with intention into them. We'll stay on the floor the whole time. We'll get started first in a comfortable seat. You can start sitting on a bolster or a blanket, and you also might choose to sit, if you want to, you could sit in a chair for this first portion, or even lie down on your back. I will choose to sit on my bolster, and I also have a couple of props with me, 2 blocks. I like to practice with 2 blankets. And then you might like to have a strap as well. And everything I share with you is invitational. You move in a way that feels best for you and your body. You can cross the legs if you are seated. And if the legs are crossed, you might even prop the backs of the knees with your blocks or your blankets. And always an option to extend the legs out or bend at the legs with the feet flat. Once you come into your comfortable seat, making any adjustments to ensure that you feel supported and held. And I invite you to draw your shoulders towards the ears and bring them down the back. We'll do this a couple more times, breathing in, drawing them down. And last time, big breath in. And we'll take a couple of cleansing breaths. Now, breathing into the nose. Exhale, sigh out the mouth. You might even have this audible sound, a releasing, a letting go. Breathe in. One more breath in. Letting it all go, feeling some of that tension and heaviness melt away. You can close the eyes, or you might look down at your floor. Welcome all parts of you on your mat this evening. Notice how you feel physically, how you might feel energetically, if you feel a little bit of high anxiety or higher energy, or maybe you feel a little bit more slow and sleepy. Becoming the observer of your body, the observer of your experience. Relax the muscles in your face. So observing if you feel any tightness or clenching. Perhaps your teeth separate a little bit, or your jaw releases, maybe even opening the mouth. The space around your eyes begins to relax. And notice how you're breathing. Whenever we do breath practices, there's no one right way. It's an exploration of how you breathe naturally and the way that you can adapt your breath to change and alter your experience. So for now, observe your natural breath. If you'd like, you can also place a hand over the chest and the belly. Observing if the breath feels slow or if it's fast. Where you feel the breath, perhaps it's in your upper chest. And this serves as a baseline. So noticing how you feel physically, how the breath feels, your energetic body. As we move through the practice, you'll be able to notice the changes. And if it feels right in your body, you can extend your breath. It slows down, patient, it's full. You might even notice how your belly begins to expand outward. Notice your breath in the lower part of the body and the way that it begins to rise up, almost as though you're filling up a glass of water. It comes from the very base of your spine and the pelvis, your abdomen, up in the chest and the throat. And exhale, a very gentle contraction of the pelvic abdominal muscles. You're drawing in the navel towards your spine. If at any time throughout the practice you feel more anxiety or uncomfortable with your breath, you can come to a rhythm that feels right for you. You can always release the practice. Okay, and now we'll take our hands to the sides of the body. So a little bit, just a little bit higher above the waist. You can keep your eyes closed or open. You're welcome to also keep the hands on the legs. And we're thinking about expanding breath on the sides of the body. So as much as we feel breath in the front and in the back side of the body, we also have this breath building along the sides, creating space. So it's like a 360-degree experience of breath in the torso. Slow and steady. Filling up the sides of the body, the ribs. One more breath. And then release, letting it go down. If your legs are crossed, I invite you to switch the cross of your legs. And we're going to move with this breath. So we've created a foundation with our diaphragmatic breath. And the movement is guided by this energy. Breathing in, send your arms down, reach up. Exhale, palms together to your heart. A couple more times, your own breath, your own rhythm, rising up. Exhale, palms together, down to heart. Breathing in, create the space. Exhale, draw it in. Same movement the other way. Breathing in, exhale, release. Continuing on your own. Breath in, breath out. Palms will come back to the center. And we'll start to open the three fingers in this lotus mudra shape. Energetically here, we have these two polarities, lightness, darkness. Maybe you have an intention or you have an affirmation. Maybe there's something that brings you joy, a person, a thing. Maybe you visualize holding light or a flower, something that brings you joy. If nothing comes to you, I invite you to use I am here. And now slowly bring the palms together, release it up, and let it go out. Hands coming to the legs or the knees, moving forward and back with the rhythm of your breath. In the seated cat-cow variation, your inhale comes forward, lifting your chin. You might take your gaze up and then exhale, rounding in your spine. Push through the back of your heart. Your chin may begin to tuck inward. Let your breath guide you. Notice how energy moves inside the body Your inhale, your breath is coming up from the base. And exhale, it roots you into the here and the now as you contract the low pelvic muscles, that downward movement. Inhaling, the energy drawing up. And exhale, it draws in. A few more on your own. When you're ready, you'll come back tall in the spine. Notice any sensations. We'll bring the arms and start to draw them up as you inhale. And then exhale, lower them to the sides. So now we're moving energy with the arms, breathing in and breathing out. How does this feel in the shoulders and the arms? Drawing energy all the way up and exhale, sending it down and out. Last time, breathing in, exhale, sending it down and out. Okay, now take right hand to the left knee, extend tall, coming into a twist. You might even look over your back shoulder. Notice how breath changes in this twist. Perhaps you might observe it in your left rib cage. Okay, now what we're going to do is you want to explore this movement. Take your right hand, holding on the left knee, and your left arm is now going to reach up and over towards the right knee. We're in this variation of a twist and a lateral bend. If you want to play around with the arm, you could take your hand to the back of the head and hold the back of head. Once you find your position, notice your breath. Expanding and contracting. Inhale, come back up, find your twist. Exhale, maybe you twist a little bit deeper. When you're ready to come out, you'll rise up on an inhale with the arms overhead, palms can briefly touch. And exhale, switch over to the other side. Now, your left hand comes to the right knee, your right hand behind you, lifting tall, exhaling, twist. You're welcome to stay here, but if you want to explore the lateral bend in this shape, reach the right arm up over towards the left knee. Maybe the hand comes to the back of your head. Stay rooted in the seat. This experience of breath, even in the sides of the body, the right rib cage. And slowly rise up on your breath in. Exhale, maybe you twist just a little deeper. When you're ready to come out, you'll breathe in with the arms overhead, palms briefly touch, and down towards the heart. Okay, we're going to extend the legs out in front now. You can stay sitting up on your blanket or your bolster, whichever you're on. I'm going to turn this way so you can see me a little better. With the legs extended, pointing and flexing at the feet. If you feel you have some tight hamstrings, you can always place a blanket underneath. Pointing and flexing at the feet. Okay, now we'll start to open and close the feet. Maybe even feeling this movement all the way up in towards your hips. And now pointing and flexing one foot at a time. Nice. Extending tall. Exhale, you might start to fold forward a little bit. You're welcome to find a bolster or a blanket. Blocks. We'll be here for just a little bit, not very long. Breath fills backside of body. And slowly rise back up. You have a bolster in front, place it to the side. And we're going to start to bend into the knees. As you bend into the knees, take your feet wide as your mat, and slowly windshield wiper the knees, side to side. You can lean back on the hands. Okay, now for this next one, you can place the feet flat and your hands can come behind, the palms facing down or on the tips of your fingers, and lift up through your heart center. Maybe even with the shoulder blades squeezing together, you can gaze up towards your ceiling. Notice now energetically how this posture feels. Your breath from the seat rising up into the space of your heart. Nice, and then exhale, release, and you might round in now. You can draw the hands towards your elbows. You could even tuck your chin inward. Breath fills the back of the body. Let me do that one more time. Breathe in, finding this variation of an extension in the spine, hands behind you, lift up through the heart. Maybe your head tilts back. Notice this connection of the body on the mat, but also this experience of lightness in your upper body. Breath expands and contracts. And when it feels right to do so, release the pose, cross the other arm on top, find a little fold inward. And then start to come back upright. Okay, now for this next one, we're going to do a little bit of core work, a little bit of engagement. You're welcome to stay here, or we're going to start to lift the right leg up, and you can bring your hands so that they're behind your knees. Your seat stays rooted. Lift the right foot and then lower it down. Lift the left foot, lower it back down. And continue doing this on your own. Move at your own pace. Lifting one foot at a time. Your inhale and your exhale. Okay, now for this next one, you can lift and hold the right foot. Stay lengthening tall in your spine. If you want a little more intensity, you can lean back and find this other variation of a boat shape. And then lower that foot down. Okay, before switching sides, notice the difference between your two sides. When you're ready, you'll lift the left foot. Stay here. You can point through the toe, but you could also flex the foot, whichever feels better for you. Your breath is expanding and contracting. Your inhale creates the space. Your exhale holds you with steadiness as you contract the low pelvic muscles. Slowly release and let that go. Okay, now you're welcome to do the same movement on each side. So you can do the right leg by itself and the left leg by itself, or if you want challenge, start to lift both of the legs. We're going to stay for 3 breaths, breathing in, breathing out. And can you hold for 1 more breath? And then we lower, let the feet go. You can lean back again onto the hands, windshield wiper the knees side to side. Re-extend, send your legs back down the mat, finding your staff pose, the hands beside you, and notice any sensations that you may feel. Not trying to make sense of anything. Allow yourself to experience. Your breath is slow and steady. Okay, now we'll take the legs, swing them to the side, and we're going to find a tabletop position. This is a good time to have your blanket under the knees. In a tabletop position, you can always lift the earth up towards you by placing hands on blocks, or hands can be flat on the mat with the fingers spreading wide. On your breath in, finding your cow shape, lift your tailbone, lift your chin. Your breath out, you exhale, you draw in the tailbone, you draw in the chin. Push up through the back of heart. Continue moving fluidly with your own breath. If you want a little more movement, you can even start to come back into a child's pose with your exhale, and then inhale, rise up. Lift your tailbone, lift your chin, finding cow. And exhale, rounding into your cat, sitting back towards the heels into child's pose. Moving in a way that feels organic and comfortable for you, releasing any tension in the spine. Your next inhale, finding your tabletop shape. In the tabletop shape, extend your right foot back with the toes tucked and rock forward and back. Now we get into the lower part of the body, the foot, the toes, the hamstrings, your hip. Bring the knee down towards the mat, extend the left foot, stepping it back, rocking forward and back. Bringing the knee back down. You're welcome to do this again on either side, or you can also find a downward facing dog. If you choose downward dog, you're pressing into the hands, lifting knees, sending your hips towards the ceiling. You could walk out the dog by bending one knee at a time, your head releasing. Eventually we meet in a tabletop and then slowly sit back into your child's pose. With child's pose, arms can stay in front, they can also come behind. Another great option is to take a blanket underneath the thighs and the calves. Your head is resting. We'll be here for about a minute. Notice if there's any areas in your body that you can soften a little bit. If there's any areas of resistance, And can you send your breath to those spots? Slow and steady breathing. From our child's pose shape, we'll slide forward. We're going to come into this puppy dog shape. It's also known as melting heart. The forearms can be on the floor. They could also be on blocks. And your hips are up and towards the ceiling. You can have the head on a bolster on the floor. If it feels better to stay in the child's pose, if that's calling to you, you can always return back. Wherever you are, we're going to be here for about 6 breaths. Observe any sensations around the heart, the inner arms, the armpits, the collarbone. From this melting heart shape, we lower all the way onto the stomach. We find a crocodile shape, a moment to pause briefly and check in, release your muscles, allow your body to soften and observe the sensations. Observing the heartbeat, your internal environment, your internal landscape. You're welcome to stay in this crocodile shape. If it feels right, it's safe to do so. Then bend in the elbows and finding a Sphinx pose. Forearms can be flat with palms down or palms together. Legs can be down the mat, but they can also bend at the knees. We'll be here for about 30 seconds or so. You're welcome to come out anytime. You can also support the forehead and the palms. Sometimes this feels a little bit more restorative. And checking in with the breath. This energy that's rooted at the base of your spine, the pelvis, and the energy of your breath that rises up your spine, up into the chest and your collarbones that radiates up and out. When you're ready to release, slowly come back down. If you had your head turned to one side in the crocodile, I invite you to turn it the other direction. And we'll start to transition into a softer, cooler part of the practice. This balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. When you're ready to transition from this shape, we roll onto the back. You can have a blanket for your head. I do invite you to keep the blanket thin. As you come onto the back, I'm going to slide the blanket that was underneath me out as well. You're welcome to keep yours. As you come onto the back, I invite you to draw your knees in. Your hands can come to the knees as you push the knees away and back towards you. Moving on your own, observing this transition of the energy from when we were sitting to being on the stomach and now on the back. And how it feels on your tailbone, this rocking forward and back, like a gentle massage. Tracing circles with the knees over to one side, over to the other side. Going the opposite direction. Slowly return the feet. They'll come back down to the floor. We're going to take 3 bridge lifts. If you'd rather take a more restorative variation of this bridge lift, you can place a block or a bolster underneath your sacrum. But if you'd like to do the dynamic movement, keep your gaze upward towards the ceiling. And then you're going to press into the feet. As you press into the feet, begin to lift up the vertebrae as you also press into the arms and the hands. And then slowly, very slowly with control, you lower down the spine, 1 vertebrae at a time, all the way down to the tailbone, and then release. So you can do this again 2 more times on your own, but like I said, you're welcome to take a restorative variation with the bolster or blanket under the tailbone. You're breathing in for the bridge lifts, lifting up, and exhale, slowly lowering down, 1 vertebrae at a time. Last one, breathing in, lifting up, and exhale, slowly lower all the way back down. And then we'll all meet in a supported variation of the shape. If you'd rather do this without props, you can leave your tailbone on the floor or press into the feet and take your prop underneath your sacrum. And this time, release the weight of the body. The prop supporting you, the earth holding you. Maybe arms come by the sides, palms can face up if you'd like a feeling of lightness, or palms could face down, a little bit more grounding. Notice how this feels. Your breath slow and steady. Perhaps the exhale becomes a little bit longer. If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to, or start to bend the knees. If you bend the knees upward, you can also support the thighs in your hands in this reclined squat shape, or take the legs towards your ceiling. You can have a strap around the soles of the feet. This is a little bit more of a restorative variation, holding the strap in either hand. As we transition into this cooler part of the practice, see if there's anywhere you can release in your face, perhaps around your eyes. If you can even soften in your legs a little bit. Perhaps you have a little micro bend in the knees. A few breaths here. Slowly pull the knees back in. Lower the feet down to the mat. Press into the feet to lift the pelvis. Take your prop out. Slowly lower all the way back down to the mat. Once the tailbone comes back down to the mat, take your feet out wider than your hips. Slowly move the knees side to side. This variation of a wide windshield wiper twist. Okay, now bringing the knees back up, pull them in towards the chest. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. Lower the feet down, extend your legs. Coming into a banana asana shape, walk your feet over to the left side of the mat. You can cross the right ankle over the left. Your pelvis stays at the center, or you're also welcome to take the upper body over to the left side, finding a banana shape or a crescent moon shape with your body. Arms can be up overhead. Maybe you have one arm up. Sometimes when I take this shape, I like to have my opposite hand, my left hand on my right ribs to feel this breath here. This shape is a wonderful way to activate the meridian lines of the lungs and heart, the energetic channels in the body. And this taps into acceptance, self-acceptance, acceptance for whatever you may be going through. This slow and steady breath, a compassionate hold. And I invite you to extend your exhale. A few more breaths left. When you're ready to come out, bring your arms back to the center, the upper body back to the center. In between the shapes, if you want to bring your knees in, that might feel nice, or maybe you'd like to keep your legs long and point and flex into the feet. Eventually, we'll make our way to the other side with the feet walking over to the right. Ankles can be crossed, left ankle over the right, or feet can stay separated. Upper body, maybe it also comes over to the right with the arms overhead, or maybe you'd like to try bringing the right hand to the left ribs. Not forcing this shape, let it be organic and natural, supportive and nourishing. Your exhale a little bit longer. We'll start to transition out of this shape. You can bring the arms back down, the upper body back, legs return to the center. Taking any other remaining postures that you'd like. It might feel nice if you want to pull the knees in, or if you want to take a little twist on either side, maybe windshield wipering the knees. Eventually, we make our way in the last shape of Shavasana, the pose for rest. Traditionally, it's taken on the back. You can also support the backs of your knees with a prop, a blanket over the body. But you can take this shape any way that feels nourishing for you and supportive. Maybe it's on the side. Maybe it's sitting up, wrapping a blanket around you. We'll be here for about 3 to 5 minutes. And whichever variation you're in, you can use props to really enhance your experience. Once you make your way into this pose, I invite you to take a cleansing breath into the nose. Release any remaining tension, any stuck energy left. One more, breathing in. Let it go. The eyes may be open or they're closed. releasing the whole body, allowing the earth to hold you. Notice your feet, your legs, your hands, your arms, your pelvis, your whole spine, shoulders, neck, head, your face, your jaw, throat, the heart. Noticing the whole back of the body and the front of your body. Notice your whole body, absorbing this practice, embodying the energetic layers, nourishing all parts of you. You can come out anytime. With each exhale, release a little bit more fully. I'll let you know once the time has passed. Returning back into the room that you're in, notice sounds. Observing the space just outside the body. The temperature of the air. The expression on your face. The rhythm of your breath. Where you meet the floor. Notice the weight of any blankets. This moment of stillness. As you return back into the room, your breath expands. You can bring a little movement back through your hands, your feet, perhaps your head rocks side to side. Any movement that feels natural as you wake back up. And as you start to wake the body back up, you can roll onto your side. You're welcome to stay on the floor as long as you'd like, or when you're ready to come up. We'll take a moment to honor the practice, honor the energetic layers that make up you, that make up me, that make up all of the life that we are deeply connected to, and this opportunity of collective healing, that when we dive inward and we care for ourselves, that we are better able to show up in the world for ourselves, for those we love and care for. Thank you for letting me guide you in honor of all that we are. Om Shanti, 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 Hashini, peace, peace, perfect peace.